We're still waiting to find out who the next president of our country will be. Despite mail-in voting taking more time, Washington State's pick in that race is clear. It's Joe Biden.
With nearly 3.5 million ballots counted, 60% of voters chose Biden over President Trump. But Spokane County doesn't follow the state's trend. Mayor Kawash explains what the vote looks like locally. Mayor?
Aaron, in some of the state's biggest races, Spokane has gone in the opposite direction as the rest of the counties in Washington. Just look at the race for president. Now, we know Biden is a pick statewide, but in Spokane, you could check it out right here. President Trump widely taking all the surrounding counties in the county, and then right here in the city of Spokane, heavily Joe Biden. And that is why right now it was Trump 49-47 over Biden in that first round of results. That, of course, can change as more ballots are counted. But you can see here how different certain parts of the county are than others. And this was the story for several races in this election. A historic election brought out a record number of voters across Washington, but many of those voters in the state's second biggest county don't agree with other Washingtonians on key races. A controversial sex ed bill has been approved in Washington by about 59% of voters in the state, but a large chunk of the opposition to R90 came from eastern Washington, specifically in Spokane, where 53% of voters rejected the measure. Now, it'll pass regardless statewide. Similar story in the race for governor, with 59% of voters choosing Jay Inslee for a third term. But in Spokane, 53% of voters chose his Republican challenger, Lauren Culp. And then there's the race for president, as Joe Biden is easily taking Washington with 60% of the vote, compared to just 36% for President Trump. But yet again, a different story in Spokane, with 49% of voters choosing President Trump over Biden. Now, we looked at how each precinct in the county voted, and you could see the discrepancy right here. The city of Spokane has voted heavily in favor of Biden based off the first round of ballots counted. Parts of Airway Heights also voted Biden, and so did Cheney, which makes sense with Eastern Washington University being in town. Now, a few parts of Spokane Valley took Biden as well, and then you see the massive red wave surrounding the rest of the county. All of the rural areas heavily voting in President Trump's favor. Some of this to change as more ballots are counted locally here in Spokane. Statewide, the race will probably only sway more towards Biden following those similar trends from the past elections. We'll keep our eye on it. Nia?